And good evening, guys. We are back again this Saturday for another Suzerain character painting stream. And this week we have Freeman G. I'm not sure what his last name is, it's just a G. So, he's a scientist, as you can see. Well, he's certainly got scientific weapons. So, I don't have any reference art for him, so that pretty much gives me free reign. No. So yeah. I think... So he's got a multi-plasma rifle. That's what this is. So I think we'll give that some glow. Just having a little think about what skin tone to give him. Let's have a look. We can have a little quick look at the previous paints we've done for the other characters, because we have done quite a nice mix of skin tones. So we have this chap, like blood plasma. Maybe, I don't know. We have this guy who we gave a very warm skin tone to. This lady, she also has quite a warm skin tone. And then we went very cool with this girl. She have a nice mix of skin tones. So, I think we might give him quite a light tone. Because he's from a bunker, living underground, I think, for 100 years. Most people end up a little bit pastier, I imagine. So I think we're going to make him quite pasty looking. So, I think what we'll use, so we'll do a combination of dark peach and beach sand. Pure blood humour. He's from a Wilderlands bubble, a bunker from the. He's a survivor. Well, from the survivors of the Pulse War. So I don't know about pure blood human. I suppose it's feasible. Especially if they've been hiding in a bunker for 100 years. But no, MMK was not specific about him being pure human, so... Ooh. Remember we could go a little bit pinkish and make him an albino. What do you think? Very pasty with some either very light blue He is indeed from a bubble. I don't know, what do you think? Should we go with a nice light tone or make him an albino? There's not a lot of skin tone to paint. Too perfect. Oh, okay. What do we define as being too perfect? Ah, I see. I see. Yes. Abnormally, so... Interesting. Well, he's a survivor in the Wilderlands now. So he might not be quite so particular about having blemishes. Alright, okay. Well, we'll start with his skin. Just get a little bit more paint on the brush. There we go. He's very well dressed. He's even wearing a tie. Get in there. He does have a pair of goggles on as well. His hands. So it's pretty much just his face and hands that we're painting in flesh tones. He's actually also wearing a really high collared shirt, so we don't even have his neck to paint. So think of how perfected these guys were supposed to be. It's a bit creepy. We could go a bit creepy. Well, he can have scars. I think that would be appropriate. I mean, he's been fending for himself. Or maybe he's been, you know, booted out for having, you know, for being defective. Dun dun dun. Or being moral. Too moral. Don't be too moral. Let's get around there a little bit more. Had too many outlandish ideas about the benefits of genetic diversity. Ooh, yes. Okay, so the combination of dark peach and beach sand, a 1-to-1 ratio, does make a really nice, warm but fairly light skin tone. Just get around there as well. Okay. Need to decide what colour to do his jacket. It's quite a nice jacket. Look at that. That is quite nice. So one of my favourite colours to paint is red. It's tempting to do a red jacket. Because I do love red. I don't know. Maybe you can come up with a different idea. Or, I don't know, maybe you like the red. Right, that's a pretty good start on the skin. I think we're going to give him a really light blue shirt. So he looks like office worker shirt. You can see he's wearing a shirt and tie. And maybe a black tie. So, let's have a little look. I want some highlights. So, for the first round of highlighting, we're going to go 2 beach sand and 1 dark peach. And then we'll just do beach sand for the final highlights. So that's 2 beach sand. And 1 dark peach. I'm also going to put out a little bit of dark peach to make a bit of a wash with, to get into the deepest recesses. So we'll put that on before we highlight. It will be quite subtle because it's still pretty close to what's on there already. But it'll just help to sink it a little bit more. Pull that out the recesses a bit more. Okay. It's a little bit too much there as well. And then we'll get some highlights on there when that's dry. What we can do you can have a touch of pure magenta in the shadows. So his skin will look warmer. We only want a really small amount in there. If I just put that out on its own. We can add a touch of this to the wash and add another coat of the wash. Just a hint. Get that across the whole face first. So I'm going to go back over and take out the excess. Like that. And just sort of wick it out. I'm only leaving a little bit behind. But your brush produces a capillary action if it's dry enough, and will pull the excess paint and moisture from the recesses or in the raised areas. So that's added a little bit more warmth to his face and hands. And we'll get in there and do some highlights in a moment. I think one thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that to dry is I'm going to start putting some white into the recesses. Of the gun for the plasma effect, so that'll end up being quite white. So I've actually got two whites. I use ink and pure white by Instar. So I'll start with the pure white. It's really sort of, look at that. It keeps doing this. It's not actually drying out though, so that's good. Just going to get some excess paint off here, because it's making the lid difficult to get on and off as well. There we go. And then I will also use some of the white ink. So the pure white, well, the pures from Instar are translucent. That includes the pure white and the pure black. You know, you can make them more opaque, but it does thicken them up a little bit, and I want it nice and thin to get into the recesses. So that's where the ink's going to come in. But I'm going to aim to have the surrounding areas, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get paint out. The surrounding areas lighter by adding the pure white, but not quite as bright as the interior sections. Oh, damn. That's all dried into the thread. I'm just going to have to give it a really good clean out later, I think. It's going to take a while. I'll get a toothpick to do it. Right, I've got my white out. Ooh. So we can start doing some highlighting on the skin actually, because I've faffed around with that enough. Just going to gently brush that in. I'm brushing up. I'm going to come down on the nose though. So I'm brushing up to the cheekbones. Just go along the chin. On that upper lip. And I can build it up a little bit more by adding some more in. Get across that forehead as well. There we go. So I'm going to add a little bit of OSL from his gun. So I'm going to lighten this side of his face some more. And that side of his nose. We're also going to do this hand, the upper sections of this hand very light. But only the upper sections. Unless we want to do the pipes glowing as well, maybe. I'm thinking an orange glow could look quite fun. I think we might do the pipes as well. Because it'll increase the area that we have the OSL, that'll look more fun. Just give it a little bit more highlight there. Okay, so we'll go over the pipes. First. So we're just making these easier to paint with a very bright orange. So we're doing orange OSL. But going for it to look very radioactive orange rather than fire orange, which tends to lean more towards the red. So we're going to paint along here in pure white. So I'll do along here as well. Okay, let's get that light blue shirt done. So I think we'll go with, I'm going to use some dark slate blue, and I'm going to brighten it with, lighten it with some white. So we'll put a drop of that out. And a drop of pure white. I'm just going to add a touch of the dark slate blue into that white, so it's mostly white. There we go. So I'll just give that a bit of a mix. Kind of get a nice office shirt blue. A little bit duller than an office shirt, but that's fine because it'll be weathered anyway. So it's a nice office shirt blue. Just getting under there. Paint that shirt. So I've got some nice metal here. I'm sort of just mapping my ideas. This is part of the device. Okay. Give it one more coat of pure white over this. Like so. I'll do the same on this side. I'm trying to brighten up the areas around the gun before I start adding in the oranges. So I'm going to add in. So I'll do a little bit of work on the cuff as well. I want his sleeve. So I'm using this white to sort of map the area where we'll get the most OSL. We can add a little bit to his face as well on this side. Come across here, down his jacket. We'll pretty much end up with most of this in down here in the orange. Just add a bit more white in. We can start adding in the orange in a moment. So end up down here. But this will just brighten up the zenith a little bit in places. down here. So we went along the back of his trousers a little bit there. And we'll get under his arm as well, because that's going to catch quite a lot. See, it's quite dark from the zenithal, but we don't want it dark. We want it to be fairly bright for the OSL. So I'm going to put some orange in there, and then I'll start mapping in the darker colours for his jacket. So I'm going to use pure orange. Because it is incredibly bright. So I'm just going to paint this in orange first. We'll brighten this up with some other, we'll add some yellow to the orange. Make this quite bright. We'll put some more white back in as well. This just gives me a good place to start from. And I can highlight it. So I'll build up the colour. One there. Just going to thin that down to a glaze, and I'm going to start putting in some of the OSL. Along his jacket. So we've got some along his shoulder here. So we'll build this up a little bit as well. Orange down there. We're going to add some extra. I think we'll have to add a little extra yellow to this. Even for the OSL. A little bit around his, so his bubble, the bubble's going to be quite big. So a little bit on his hair, on the side of those glasses. So it's going to cover most of this side as well. Some bit here. I've also got to try and consider where light might get blocked. Okay, so we've got a good start for where we want our OSL. We might have to bring it across his chest a little bit more as well. So I'm going to bring it to here, because then it starts to curl round and we'll see less of it there. Get a little bit on his arm. And that shoulder. We're giving him quite a lot. He's got a very glowy weapon. We'll get some more there as well. Just put that in like that. Okay. I'll do one coat over the gun. Get some orange on his hand as well. It's going to be quite orange. Yeah. Nothing does say I'm going to blow your head off quite like glowing ammo. You're right. It's quite intimidating. Glowing ammo of doom. Alright, I'm going to add a bit of yellow. So I'm going to go with some pure mid yellow just to nudge that orange a little bit brighter. We'll start layering up a few more coats. You can see the difference that a little bit of yellow was made already. Get some on his shirt. Get his face. So we're adding quite a lot of orange glow now. Get it on his hand. So I'm going to go under the creases here. It doesn't have to be perfect, I can tidy it up later. I start adding in my other colours. We'll add a coat over the pipes as well. So we're building up the colour on those. And start adding another coat over the glow as well. Building up some of these other areas that I've missed. Make sure we get his face and his hair. This is a Reaper model. If you do exclamation mini, it will provide you with a link. I actually have it all set up today. And hey, little Hamlet, how you doing? I have a convenient list of links up in the top right hand corner of the video feed. I have other commands, but did I say links? I meant commands. I do have other commands, but some of them they're the sort of general ones. Just get some more orange in here. So some of this is a bit darker. It's a little bit further away. I'm going to put another coat over the gun. Like that. I'm actually going to paint the end in this as well. We're going to get in there with the white ink though. Really sink that colour in. Smooth that out a little bit more. I'm going to add some more pure mid yellow. Now I'm obviously getting less and less of orange in there anyway because I'm using it. Ooh. So we're getting more of a sunshine, a very bright sunny orange. It's getting closer to being yellow. I'll start putting that on some of these closer areas. Ooh, working. Damn. Well, hope you get to do something fun with your weekend. Plenty of this brighter orange on his leg and trousers. Just here as well. Yeah. Fueling the hobbies. I'm just going to wait for that to dry a little bit. I'm going to switch out to my pure yellow because this is a bit bolder. So we'll go with a couple of drops of that. We'll add in a drop of pure orange because I'm pretty much running out of paint there. In a bit, just a drop of water plus. so this is primarily for the pipes. Like so. Just gonna add a little bit around there though. Okay. So I'm going to go with some midnight blue for his jacket. It's going to contrast very heavily with the orange we've got. So it will really help to show off the radioactive glow of the plasma gun. Start up here. I'm just going to start building that in. So a very important aspect with OSL is the shadows. It is just as important as the OSL itself. Just building it up gently. I'm pulling away from, so I'm bringing my paint away from where the OSL is. Like so. So we can bring that up a little bit and more there. Just tidy that a little bit. So I've got less paint on my brush. Just adding in a little bit more along that. Just going to carefully get in under there as well. So getting quite the radioactive glow. So some of the gun is actually blocking the light here. So I'm going to put that in around there. Just getting under that section of collar. We'll do another coat as well. Trying to push that up into the gun a little bit more. so. Kind of tricky. That's it. But that makes a really good contrast. Getting under here as well. There we are. So areas like this are kind of tricky. I've got to try and get in. So I've got to try and pull away from this one. Like so. And then I've got to pull away from this one as well. Going to get a little bit more in there. Very edge of that. So we can define the shape of it a little bit better. And then I'm going to thin some of this out a touch so that I can put a little bit in some of these creases and folds. And I can smooth out some of this blending as well. Like so. Just get a bit more under his arm. Look at that. Alright, we'll do his trousers in, I think, a fairly light brown, so we'll go with some milk chocolate. We do still need to finish highlighting the skin as well, but that's not a problem. We can come back to that in a minute. Now that we've got some OSL in there, so I'm going to go with the milk chocolate trousers. So I'm overlapping the OSL a little bit, partly because it helps to blend it nicely. And we'll give him dark brown boots. I have to add some slightly darker shades to his trousers though. Actually, it's, I don't know, It might be okay. We'll see what it looks like when I've finished. I might go with a slightly darker brown. Kind of blends in with the OSL a little too much. Sometimes you've just got to try to find out. So we'll finish painting this on. That way we'll get nice even coats. When we add in a darker brown. But some of that's a little lost. We could add in a bit more glazing, a little more orange. Like that as well. Get some brown in there. Let's do another coat, another round on the coat. Another coat on the coat. Because that's definitely dry now. And I do need this to be quite a good contrast to really make it show off that orange glow. Just get a little bit in there as well. It's quite thin down. But we can add a bit more shape there. We'll have to soften that a little as well. There we go. Bringing a bit more shadow in here. And here. That's a bit better. And I think I need a little in there as well. Bring that back across his. There we go. Because a lot of this will be blocked by the shape. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I'll add a bit more in here. Trying to get the creases in the jacket. Which will catch just slightly less of the OSL than elsewhere. So I need to get the shoulder. can get along there as well. I think actually what we're going to do as well is I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Where the two light sources don't quite meet. Because that's emphasizing the fact there's two light sources. Okay. I think we need to take this one back a little bit more. So I'm just trying to move it around now and make sure that I've got my OSL points in the right place. I'm going to bring this down a little as well. But this makes a nice fire glow as well with the orange. You can get a really good fire glow on your minis with that. Going to go with some pure brown on the trousers. So this will darken them up a little bit. Hopefully help define that OSL a little more. Bring that over there. I found that the pure brown is brilliant for tinting. So good for that kind of thing. But that's helped. So that glow's a little more obvious now. Particularly on this leg where it's more, where it's closer to the light source, so it's definitely brighter there. So it's getting duller as you get further away. Speaking of which, I need to add a little bit more in here. Because this is obviously very close to the light source. So we want that nice and bright.